Hey guys, I'm Mojo.
Hi, I'm Zainab. We opened a chai cafe in California, and today we're going to show you how to make a good cup of chai at home.
We were really frustrated by how complicated it is to make a good cup of chai. Everyone we asked said something about double boil or a pinch of this or a pinch of that, or like they'd say something like add 3 spoons of tea, but I don't really know where to find that specific spoon. So we wanted to come up with a method of making chai that was just simple, it was precise, and it was consistent overall. We've used this method that we've developed to make over 100,000 cups of chai at our cafe.
Before this, I was making chai and it took me like 10 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes another time. It just wasn't really consistent, and sometimes I'd get a good cup, but I just wasn't really sure what I was doing and why I was doing it. So I didn't really understand how to replicate a really great cup every time.
All right, should we get started?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so I have here a saucepan in front of me. This is made out of brass, but you can use any sort of saucepan or pot that you want. I like to use brass just because it distributes the heat a little bit more evenly. Because we're making 2 cups of chai today, we're gonna start off with adding 2 cups of whole milk into the pot.
All right, so you wanna find the freshest milk you can get your hands on, ideally with something with a high fat percentage. Try to avoid anything that's ultra high pasteurized. Those milks typically aren't the freshest available. You can use alternatives as well. Our favorite alternative is oat milk. Again, anything with a high fat percentage, Oatly is a great option. You can use low fat milk, but just keep in mind your chai is gonna end up being a little bit more watery than normal. Cool, so we're gonna measure out about 2 cups of milk.
So we like a little bit more of a creamier, milkier chai, which is why we mostly add milk to the pot. So it's 1 cup of milk for a cup of chai.
We're gonna add this in. And then we're also gonna add in some extra water. This will change depending on the size of your pot and how strong your stove is, but 1 cup is about a good starting point. Basically, this extra water will have evaporated out by the time we're done making the chai. And the key part to remember is whether you're making 1 cup of chai or 10 cups of chai, you always wanna use the same amount of this water. So it's always gonna be 1 cup for us.
So you wanna bring it to a boil gently. The reason for that is because you don't want the milk to start to burn if it's a little bit too high, and also to prevent it from sticking to the bottom of the pot, and it allows you to just clean the pot a little bit easier.
We're gonna do about 8 grams per cup of our blend. So since we're making 2 cups, we're gonna do about 16 grams.
And that's about 6 teaspoons roughly.
Yeah, about 6 teaspoons.
Perfect. So the tea that we're using is our Karak chai blend. And so you wanna use loose leaf CTC black tea. CTC stands for cut, tear, curl. That just means that the tea is these little tiny granules, little beads that you see here. That's just the way that we traditionally make it in South Asia. So if you want a really authentic traditional cup, you're gonna wanna use this. It's a bit bolder, it's stronger, as opposed to the loose leaf black tea strands that you'll find that are a little bit more subtle. So that's why we called it Karak chai blend, because Karak means strong in Urdu.
You can also use other brands of tea you can find at the Indian store, but we like our blend because our tea is fresh from the latest harvest, and also just there's no dust in our tea, and so you end up with a much cleaner cup. Our blend already has some fresh pre-crushed cardamom in it. We mainly like just elaichi in our chai. That's how we grew up drinking it, but you can really add any kind of spices you want. There's cinnamon, there's cloves, black pepper. You can even add like fresh ginger and really customize it to whatever kind of chai you want to make. The most important thing is just make sure whatever spices you use whole and fresh spices. They'll give you the best flavor.
So we use really bright green, fresh cardamom in our chai blends. They come from a single family farm in India, and it's just like so aromatic. It smells phenomenal, and you can just eat this as like a mouth freshener. I know people do that sometimes, but it's so good, so fresh, and so tasty.
So now we're gonna measure out the sugar for our chai. You can make chai sugar-free, but we really like adding a little bit of sugar to our chai. So we're gonna use about 8 grams per cup, so that'll be 16 grams of sugar as well.
So we're using white cane sugar. That's really just how we like to drink it, but you can use any kind of sweetener that you want. You could use honey or jaggery or stevia, whatever you like, but I do recommend having some sort of sweetener. It just helps to cut the bitterness of the tea a little bit better, and then it also brings out the aroma of the spices and mixes in really well. The milk is starting to boil right now, so you'll see the bubbles at the edges, and this is where you really want to pay attention and not get distracted. Otherwise, the milk can just boil over and make a mess everywhere. So you can kind of hear it like bubbling and sizzling. As soon as it starts rising, we're going to add everything in. Okay, so now now this is what we mean by gently boiling. As soon as it starts happening, we're gonna add in the spices, the tea, and the sugar. Now we're gonna let everything steep for 5 minutes on a low heat and just give it a little bit of a stir.
If you want something that's less strong, you can always do less tea, but we really suggest steeping it for 5 minutes to get the full flavor out from the tea. Anything longer and you'll start to get really bitter. You wanna make sure that you ladle the chai as it's brewing. What that does is it agitates the tea and make sure that you get a full extraction. It also aerates the milk, so you get a nice frothy chai. It also just looks cool and you feel like a real chaiwala.
If you don't have a ladle, you can also use a wooden spoon just to kind of get the milk from the bottom so that it doesn't burn and stick to the bottom of the pot. It's making it really frothy right now.
Yeah, looks really good.
Love that. And the color, yeah. It's like this really nice tan hue.
So a lot of people also have this big debate about whether you should do milk first and then add the tea to it, or brew the tea with water and then add milk later. We really like adding the milk first because it does two things. One, just saves a lot of time and makes it really simple. And two, the fat in the milk does a much better job of extracting the flavor from the tea and the spices than water does. And so you get a much more fragrant cup of chai at the end.
It's so aromatic. I can just smell the fresh cardamom. It's like taking over the whole house. Just kind of smells like home.
If you see the chai stop simmering, just increase the heat a little bit so that it starts, boiling again. You want to try to maintain the simmer really to get that full extraction, and then also to make sure you get the right reduction. And if you see the chai start to rise and it's about to boil over, you can just aerate it again and it'll break the surface tension, cool down the chai a little bit, and it'll go back down.
Alrighty, so that was 5 minutes and we're gonna turn the heat off.
We're gonna get our strainer here. And we're just gonna strain the chai into our chai mugs that we have here. We're just gonna pour it in. I'm gonna go at it from a height, get it nice and frothy.
And we're pouring this into our chai mugs. These are like the traditional kuleds that are used back home. You can use any mug you want, obviously, but I don't know, I really like the feeling of drinking it in a kuled. It just feels more special and kind of reminds me of my childhood.
You just wanna make sure that you squeeze out the last few drops of chai from the tea. These few drops usually have the best flavor.
Okay, so now it's time for a little taste test.
All right, let's try it.
Cheers.
It tastes good.
Yep, just like I would expect it to be.
Every time.
So that was it. Super simple and easy to remember, and we made it in under 10 minutes. I promise you, if you follow this recipe and method, you're gonna make an amazing, consistent cup of chai every single time.
Thanks guys, enjoy.
Cheers.